Why, hello there. Today I thought I'd have a look at some new screenshots that we have from Bernina line. There's not too much to talk about, but we do have some more information, obviously. What you're not looking at a new screenshot right at the moment, although those mountains do look spectacular, and that's going to be a recurring theme. And it's something that I am actually going to praise Rivet for quite a lot. The mountains and the distant scenery looks phenomenal, and it's certainly a damn sight better than what we have for a Rosa line. And I'll go on a tangent here quickly. I would like to see it introduced on a Rosa line. I know there are challenges with that. I know that could lead to huge holes in the landscape, but I think Rivet should investigate potential options for integrating this LiDAR into a Rosa line scenery, because we all know the scenery on that route is fucking awful. Anyway, we'll get straight in. This is the first screenshot of the Algra ABE 812 with some EW1 coaches behind. I can see some classic Rivet Games fake advertisements there. Not even in German, they had four languages to choose. Three languages to choose from, and they chose a different one. There's not so much to be learnt from this screenshot, other than, of course, we already know that the EW1 layers and the Algra run together. But one thing that we can see as well is both pantographs are up, which the train, because this is a DC line and the train needs to climb pretty steep hills. I read that whilst it's on DC mode, as it will be on this line, when the train needs a little bit more power, it will automatically raise one of the two raise the pantograph that isn't already up, so it can just get a little bit more current, electric current coming through. So hopefully that is modelled. Potentially we'll just have two pantographs or both pantographs up all the time. I'm not sure, but that is cool. That's a nice touch. Anyway, we'll move on. This is a screenshot of Theab. It's slightly plain, but then again, the distant scenery is phenomenal. Signal looks like it might be a touch hard to read, although there are mods on PC to fix that. We can see the level crossing sign just below the signal head as well. The buildings look okay, nothing spectacular there. And the trees are close enough to the line that we can actually see their shadows, so they're not awful. I would like to know what this part of the route looks like without the trees, because there are some sort of little niggles on the side of the slope, whether that's grass or trees. You see, like up here-ish, and there's all this sort of somewhat nasty. They look like trees to me, but you can't really tell, and I hope it's just snow on a cliff, but if those are trees, that would look awful in summer without snow. Anyway, returning to the cab, we've got, and I've got an actual image of the cab. There are some little texture things, like I think this is a little bit too flat, and these armrests look a bit too solid. You'll see what I mean. But this screen looks nice. Good to see they've modelled that correctly. This is the actual cab. The screen's not turned on, but you can see these armrests look much more comfortable than they do up here. But on the whole, it's not awfully made. It's not terrible. And yeah, my thoughts on this is that the train looks good, and the snow on the mountain looks good. And the wayside, so the buildings and the immediate tracks and everything on the side, it looks nice. It looks visually interesting, not super boring. But the cab texturing is a little bit dodgy. But I have seen worse. I have seen far worse. And it's acceptable. It's average, which, it's not bad. It's not great. This is another screenshot. This is sort of summer, or more spring or autumn, I guess, because there's the snow line up the top. The close scenery on here isn't fantastic. The trees don't have shadows, which is quite jarring, but the distance scenery is phenomenal, and the way the fog interacts with that. And we can also see that the modelling on the inside and the outside of the Algra, and it looks very nice. We've got nicely made, nicely textured sides of the train, such that it's not just one flat sheet. I know this is sort of stereotypical, and you can see the PIS screen there. I don't think anything's on it. I can't quite make that out, but it's turned on at least, so it's a good sign. And yeah, my thoughts on this. The train is well modelled. The distance scenery looks alright, but I'm a bit unsure about what the snow line is, because there's, snow on one mountain and then no snow on the one immediately to the left. So I don't know what's going on there. Some mountains are just hard-coded to always have snow on them if they do in real life, but I wouldn't imagine that to be the case. The riverbed looks a little bit off. Like just feels like there's not enough shadow on it. It's just a bit too bright. And the rock just goes straight into grass. There's no sort of earth around, and then there's a few flat textures there. And the trees around here especially just don't have shadows, and it's just bad. Like, that's one of the things that I've been talking about for ages, and it's not a problem for this route. And in fairness, it's not something that Rivet can do much about, because that's a problem with the I'm not a game developer. I should assume that's a problem with the architecture of the game itself, and that's just what Rivet have to work within. But it looks awful, looks truly awful, and that's another problem with a Rosa line. So at least this one has the fantastic LiDAR to help with that. And this is the last screenshot. This is on the approach to St. Moritz. Or St. Moritz. I watched a program on this route, and I should probably rewatch it so I can learn all the names of the stations. Yeah, we can see the rearview mirror of the Algra there, but we had that on the GE, so I don't think that's a big deal. One thing that I did pick up on is the catenary and the overhead wiring for the Italian standard gauge lines, which are off to the right over here, are incorrect. And the snow build-up looks a little bit odd. It doesn't really... Well, it doesn't look odd, it looks old. It's not the new snow build-up stuff that we had. And on the distance in here, it looks good, but there are these sort of like bumps. This sort of odd hashing on the mountain, and that's probably just a thing with the LiDAR. But, the rest of the mountain looks very good with all of these rock faces coming through. And there are no trees on it, so, it's nothing to ruin the hill with a lack of shadows. And yeah, that's my thoughts. Just incorrect catenary, and the snow build-up is not the newer version. That is it. We still don't know when this route's going to release, how much it's going to cost. It's looking quite unlikely now to be extended past Ospizio Bernina, which again is a pretty awful route choice, a pretty awful choice to end the route, because it's a request stop. I don't think the request stop feature will work. I'd love it if it did, because, why wouldn't you? But considering the final stop is a request stop, I don't think they will have that working. I think it'll just be sort of random which services stop at which stations. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. As more information becomes available, I will, of course, make videos on it. Thank you again what am I talking about? Have a fantastic day, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.